Hello and welcome to the third installment of Heat on the Director's Chair Network. I'm your host, Ryan, and with me today I have a very special guest co-host, Sully. Can I call you Sully?
That's often what I go by.
Is that what you go by? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, your first name is Cam. Why do you go by Sully?
Because I'm an Irish-German family and Sully short for Sullivan.
Oh, there you go. Sully short for Sullivan. That makes sense. Yeah.
Not to be confused with the airline pilot who crashed into the ocean.
No, we do not want to confuse you with the airline pilot that crashed into the ocean. So when they made that movie, it wasn't about you?
I wish I'd have an award.
What would your movie be about?
Basically being a film student surviving awful college film professors. Would that be cinematic?
Oh, geez. Oh, man, that's a story. That sounds like a podcast within itself. I feel like I just want to interview Sully. You're probably more fascinated in the movie. I don't know. You're surviving. What's this professor? What happened to the professor? What happened?
Basically, instead of being helpful, he decided to just mock us, be cynical, and claim, I told you everything you need to know. Is no, you didn't. And then he just started getting louder.
That's what I do with my kids. When they don't listen to me, I just increase my volume and then they understand.
When you're trying to reflect discipline, this guy's saying, I taught you this. No, you're making us want to not talk to you or learn from you.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Sully, I really appreciate you coming on and talking Heat with me. And as we're covering the third set of 34 minutes but before we get to that, let's plug your podcast. Go ahead and plug that for us now.
Yeah. So since 2019, we've been doing the Jacked Up Review Show. You were a guest when we were talking Planet Hollywood of all things. We've gotten better at sound audio and remixing synths, but we decided years ago, let's just do a variety show. Instead of just blogging endlessly, getting annoyed that no one read the blog, let's just talk, because it's there in the space forever. Someone can discover it. They might even just check it out just because you use the right keyword. But we've covered everything from retro comedians to movie franchises, and it's always fun doing the franchise versus franchise, because then you have to basically, it's a fun all-out wrestling match. And we would always joke at the start, just do a coin toss if we can't decide. And more, without fail, we got to do a coin toss.
Yeah, you guys have covered quite the gambit. It's hard to nail what your next episode might be about. You're for better, for worse, you're all over the place.
We try to do a theme each week. We got a headline themed week going, but yeah, we had to get better at just the promotion and just get everyone into the predicting the unpredictable.
Do you have any regular co-hosts right now, or is it just always a rotating guest host?
We have Tom, JJ, and Gil, and that was often the best to get together. Mike, who had been a former college DJ, was also wonderful but that's why we got more into the retro tunnel, is let's do a classic 70s rock band. Let's go into this other comedian who's criminally forgotten, but whose style has influenced everybody you know and love.
All right. Awesome. So it's the Jacked Up Review Show. Yeah, I did do a Planet Hollywood episode. It's been a couple of years, and it was fun to discuss that franchise, a failed restaurant franchise now.
Should have worked. Why didn't it work?
Well, yeah, they're just not the stars they used to be, Sully. We all have to end our time in the sun ends one day. Hopefully your Jacked Up Review Show doesn't end. And I'll say this, you have probably the best intro song of any podcast I've ever heard, and it's a banger of a song. First, who is the artist, and how did you get them to record for you?
It was Gravity Factory, and Jason Mays and I just kept in touch after I did a music video for him, and I just decided, hey, I need a banger of a theme to get everybody's attention. What do you got for me?
You did a music video for them?
Yes.
What do you filmed it?
Correct.
Is it on YouTube?
I will be happy to share it with you. Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic. I would love to see that.
That's pretty much, I think music videos are the best perfect in between. Instead of filming a short film or proof of concept that you just throw away after the fact and no one can watch it, you might as well just do a music video. It's short, sweet. It's shorter than an episode of TV even. Yeah,
music videos have been around for a while. They're not going anywhere. I think they're the ultimate medium. And hopefully people watch this on their music video station, which is called YouTube nowadays. So hopefully people watch this episode. Make sure you plug this on the Jacked Up Review Show on your next episode, Sully. I'm going to hold you to it.
Yep.
I'm going to listen to it. You better You better plug this. Okay. So now we're talking Michael Mann this season. Of course, we're now talking Heat. What is your overall fandom, if you have one, but what is your overall fandom of Michael Mann?
So I list him in between the A and the B crowd. He definitely is a Sidney Lumet kind who just loves exploring the dark side of humanity. And it's so funny how all these other filmmakers who have gotten into beefs with each other, from Oliver Stone to William Friedkin, accusing each other of stealing from one another. And it's like, you guys are literally all in the same maze. You're all drinking from the same well. So why is there so much ego and animosity between each other when you have all done a delightful job in your collaborations? And I again, it is wild how you're going to go through all his other upcoming ones, because I can't do today's Michael Mann, but I can do all the 80s and 90s hits, just how he experimented with horror, mystery, and he loves mixing in pitch perfect sound quality that does make you actually feel like you are over the character's shoulder, just listening in to all this mayhem.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good summary. You mentioned William Friedkin and Oliver Stone. They had a beef. I'm not aware of that beef.
So Oliver Stone has accused so many people of stealing from him. Like, Scarface is more my movie than De Palma's movie.
Oh,
and he had words with Michael Cimino, who he wrote some screenplays from. But then he and William Friedkin started a whole beef on DVDs going away, or no, it's not. VHS is here to stay. You guys are both wrong, but you're both brilliant because you buy your BS.
Sure.
Now, where does this lead to Michael Mann? William Friedkin did To Live and Die in L.A., and Michael Mann never forgave him for that. He's like, you stole from my show, Miami Vice and Manhunter. You stole my star.
Really?
And it's just, for God's sakes, you guys both have similar tastes. You both love Tangerine Dream. You both love cops and robbers and corruption and gray morality tales. Why not just work together, embrace each other's success?
Hey, this is why we are grateful to have you on the show, and I've had other podcasters on the show, because we like to embrace each other's success. So I believe in the podcasting world, we should not be like those battling directors. We should embrace each other's successes and shows. And you better never turn on me. That would be horrible.
But you do it so wittily. Like, you take on some of the most bizarre internet memes. I still dig the video game one. Is like, why do people pretend to like this game? It's not a good game.
Oh, yeah. So if people are listening, what's always referring to, I do have another podcast called The Worst of the Best. No, that's okay. There's people that listen to this feed that have no idea. I do another podcast called The Worst of the Best Podcast, and Sully's referring to I do a variety, like your Jacked Up review show. I do a variety of different topics almost every week with my brother Jason and some other guest co-hosts from other podcasts there as well. Okay, so now what is your overall fandom of the movie Heat? Where do you rate it amongst movies in general or against Michael Mann's other films?
It's definitely a must-see heist film, even though it gives you pretty much everything audiences are looking for. Sometimes people cry predictability or whatever. I think it's more of an experience movie. People are getting so caught up in trying to predict the next plot twist instead of feeling immersed and embracing the noir style. But yeah, 90s Michael Mann is definitely a must, because he blurs that line between a blockbuster action director like John McTiernan and John Woo, and then mixes it in with some of these other gritty crime guys. But this is a must, especially when you're going to see today's movies are stealing so much from the Collateral and Heat method. Everything from Den of Thieves to literally check out the newest movies that Styx Media and Open Road Films are putting out. They're almost all Training Day and Heat inspired. They have so many. 21 Bridges was one that came out.
I never saw that one.
Oh,
who's in that one?
The Black Panther actor J.K. Simmons.
Oh,
there was also one movie I think you'd dig that had Woody Harrelson, Anthony Mackie, 999, and
I never heard of that one either.
That was a total Training Day Heat kind of movie. All these cops stealing from banks, trying to they owe the Russian mafia X amount before midnight.
Speaking of banks and robberies and Michael Mann, I noticed watching this movie, or specifically this part of the film that we're covering today, the third set of 34 minutes of film coverage. There is a scene where the crew is doing they didn't quite succeed, but they're starting to do a robbery, and it gets interrupted by a mistake by the cops. And it occurred to me that Michael Mann obviously wanted to revisit his time on Thief. Now, did you watch Thief?
Yes.
Okay.
Thief was one I came to later, but it's essential in seeing how he organizes all this stuff.
Yeah, so I think Thief wasn't widely seen at the time, and I don't think it's even widely seen now. It's a wonderful film. I saw it for the first time covering Michael Mann's films for this podcast. I hadn't seen it until I covered
with Kaylee. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
you know who Kaylee is?
Yes. Yeah.
How do you know her?
She's been part of the Who Are These Podcast Network.
Oh, where you're on that?
No. But I've been roasted by him, but it's fun.
Oh no, I don't. Sorry, I don't mean you were a host.
No, I've just seen her
roasted by them. Oh, okay. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about? It's actually a bit of an honor to be noticed by them. To be honest with you,
it is what they do. They are a roasting podcast.
You took it well because some people take it very poorly. Sully, I don't know if you know that. That's why I asked about your intro songs, because it is such a banger of a song. They'll play it on their show as a way to wake up their own audience. That's the legacy you've left for them.
Oh, man.
I think it's fantastic. Yeah, you've been covered a couple times, and I put it this way, my show might be so boring that it's not worth covering. Does that make sense? My shows are
Why would you be boring?
I don't know if the boring is the right word. Because they cover shows that are good as well, like really good, that they really enjoy, and then they cover shows that are fun to take the mick out of a little bit. Yes. I'm in that in-between gray area where I'm passable. So jeez, you like that one? Eh?
I don't suck. Okay.
I don't know if that's quite true either. It depends on the episode. Anyway, I just want to say you are a celebrity amongst the fandom. So take a bow, my friend.
You and her brought up Mann's voyeuristic style and how similar movies like Stoker have done that, as well as just how we're getting prepped for slow burn kind of psychological stuff. Now, Thief pretty much implements how Mann approaches the crime genre. And people have likened Miami Vice to 48 Hours, Walter Hill kind of era, but Thief, that's where he becomes familiar with Eddie Bunker, who's best known as being Mr. Blue in Reservoir Dogs.
Okay.
And Runaway Train. So by studying that ex-con turned author, that's how he gets all the material about a theft and how long it's going to take to conduct a heist, how you assemble a crew, how criminals, once they implement this, there is no going back. And we understand why they don't want to have a normal job, because the rap sheet is just so horrendous. They're never going to have a normal everyday life. So Thief pretty much implements the whole Mann style from that point. And it's wild how Heat influences Collateral, and then the rest is history.
I agree. That's what I was thinking about with Thief, is how Michael Mann went back to that reservoir of the heist, of the thievery, essentially. And I think it's almost like he said to himself, I've got a little bit of clout now. I've done Last Mohicans. I've got a bigger budget now. I've got Robert De Niro. I've got Al Pacino, Val Kilmer. He's got a big cast, a big budget. Thief didn't do well, but I want to I guess he stole from himself. It almost felt like I was watching Thief again. It's almost like Thief
2.0.
Or 2.0, better said. Yeah, very good.
Did you ever watch LA Takedown?
No, but I talked to my co-host Craig on that episode. We brought that up because he saw it, and he gave me the answer I needed to hear, because I trust Craig explicitly. He said, Craig's great. He's the best. He said, essentially, it's a glorified TV pilot.
It's not good.
Oh, you saw it as well? Same idea?
But the cast is dynamite. You got Evil Zonder Berkeley in the Waingro grain role. You got Daniel Baldwin, pre-homicide, Life on the Street, as one of the detectives at the robbery. So it is interesting when people say, a remake can't be good. This is a remake, but he went beyond the limited cut for time TV budget. He got better actors.
You're not confined to the TV algorithm of language and violence and
TV. You have to fill time, and he had to say, okay, let's cut that out. That's all off screen.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So again, this is part 3 of Heat. So this is the third set of 34 minutes of film. I always forget where this scene is until I see the movie. And of course, it's a classic Al Pacino moment. And not even the hooah. It's the other one. Which one do you think?
This is before he starts being hammy again. But this is the perfect time. Is I don't have to do gangster roles anymore. I'm done Son of a Woman. So now I'm gonna give you what you want, which is an intense.
Is that what we want? Is that what the fans want? Is this crazy Al Pacino?
Well, now that you say it that way, it is almost a Shatner level. Do I want over the top Pacino, or do I want hammy but miscast Pacino, or do I want perfect Pacino was meant to
I've forgotten. This sort of was the film where oh, we're doing this now with Pacino. This is what he's doing now. He decided to be this way. So here's the famous scene here in this part of the film where Al Pacino's character is talking to Hank Azaria's character regarding Val Kilmer's girlfriend. This happened in part 1 of the film coverage, where Hank Azaria was sleeping with Ashley Judd. Yes. And now they said, hey, we got this guy. We're going to basically blackmail him to give us the location of the crew, identity of the crew. And so they're interviewing him, and Al Pacino's character... Go back, so just bear with me as I... You're already laughing. You're already laughing.
You know what's going to happen.
Charlene Shairless.
Who?
Who? Who? Were you a fucking owl?
The lady you've been talking dirty to on the telephone every day last week.
Yeah, all right. You know what? You can't tie me to her.
Who needs to? Because your ass is on a plane back to New Jersey, Jagoff.
Oh, man. Why'd I get mixed up with that bitch?
Because she got a great ass!
Okay. All right. Sully, I got to ask. I want to hear your opinion. Is this Al Pacino doing this on his own, or is this Michael Mann telling him, I want you to deliver the line this way? Which one is it?
It's improvised because Hank Azaria actually confirmed that in an interview. He didn't know he was going to go for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So much. It wasn't just the coffee scene. It wasn't just some of the other body language De Niro's doing.
That's fantastic. Well, let me just go back then. I want to see if they show a reaction.
Yeah. Just that alone.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe that reaction.
You got to be
face.
in character because time is money.
Yeah, that's true too.
Why'd I get mixed up with that bitch?
Because she got a great ass!
You can see it now.
That's great. That's fantastic. So what's your overall fandom regarding Al? We always do this with all of our hosts when we talk about certain actors. What's your fandom of Al Pacino?
I saw this movie every time it was on TNT, TBS. I was a good film buff. My dad was the oyster to classic rock. My mother showed me all kinds of sitcoms and 80s pop music. So I had the best of all worlds. And sometimes I'd even go over to my grandmother's, who was my mentor as both a teacher and just a historian in general, and it'd be plenty of masterpiece theater time. I loved the first 2 Godfathers, and I saw some of his better stuff, and I just understood instantly why Sidney Lumet fell in love with him and got the best performances from both him and Sean Connery. And yeah, Heat is just the perfect gateway. It was for the millennial crowd. It was for the other guys who had seen him in some other stuff like Sea of Love. People like making fun of him because he is one of those, much like De Niro, much like Christopher Walken and Sam Jackson, who I'm surprised aren't in this movie, given how they're in everything. But they became successful after a while and then started making fun of their alter ego. And then after a while had to get out of there and say, hey, remember, I can still act. Yeah, I've done Denny Collins. I've done all these other comedies, but people want me to do the over the top in your face.
Can you do Pacino got a great ass? I don't want to put you on the spot.
I definitely can't do it justice, but no,
I can. Right.
I do love Frank Caliendo and some of those other comedians who would parody him for a while.
Oh, do they do? There's, I guess there must be comedians. Yeah, the Hua. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right.
I'm glad you picked this part for us because this is the calm before the storm.
Yeah, it's funny. Your part ends right. So part 4, which will be with my co-host Katie. I think you know Katie very well.
Yes,
she's awesome. Yeah, she's great. And so she lucked out. When I divided up this, basically for our listeners, what I did was, folks, this is really mind melting what I did here. I knew I was going to do this movie in 5 parts. You know what I did, Sully? I took the time of the film and I divided it by 5. It's pretty crazy, right? Into 5 equal parts. So that's 34 minutes of film for each co-host to cover. So anyway, so when I sent out the who wants to join me on Heat, it was just a combination of who answered first and what their schedule for recording was. So you were actually scheduled after I scheduled with Katie, but I was able to get you on before Katie's date, if that makes sense. So you actually, you missed out on the heist or the bank heist scene. Katie gets that. Literally, her 34-minute segment starts with the bank heist.
That's all good. Make it easy.
But what does your scene have? What is the big scene that you're...
Everything. We got Waingro betraying the crew. We got the robbery crew being made while the detectives are playing chicken. We conclude with Neil hiring Breeden to be his new wheelman.
Dude, you forgot the biggest part of the whole... Why would you skip the scene? The big scene. The diner scene.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I just,
What do you mean, okay? Yeah, that is the scene.
because everybody can talk about that. I love these three particular scenes because no one talks about them. Even though they are key.
fair. All right,
Nobody
fair.
talks about them at all.
Which one do you want me to go to? Let's pick one. I see you got some notes there. Good job. You got more notes than I have.
Do we want to just go into Van Zandt since we're talking about him off here?
Which one? Which scene is that?
Just Waingro betraying the crew with Van Zandt. Just because William Fichtner, man, there's a chameleon.
Yeah. How do you pronounce his last name?
I think it's Fichtner.
Fichtner, yeah.
But yeah, I was always like Fichtner, but man, like the director, David Fincher, what? What?
Yeah, true. So Waingro is a great character. Oh, actually, before we get to the Waingro scene that you're talking about, but here's the visual of the heist. Now it's a failed heist because it gets interrupted, like I said. But this is them breaking in with the concrete smashing and the drilling and all that stuff.
Yep.
This is very apropos, or not apropos is the right word, but very reminiscent of the movie Thief, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
So yeah, when I saw this, it's just So then we go into the Waingro, you're right, betraying the group that tried to off him in the parking lot. And the Waingro actor, I forget his name off the top of my head, I mentioned it when we covered it, but he does such a great job in this film. And it's just weird that he had some roles, but you never really, like some of the movies he's been, you never even heard of type films. It's odd that he didn't get better work from this film. I don't know why that it is.
It's just typecasting. People only see in a certain way. And unless you got a good manager or make a killing, just people don't want to give you a chance, which is a shame because so many talent has worked on this. Andy McNabb, the original Bravo 20, was an advisor on here with the technical weapons.
Oh, okay.
Kevin Gage, he's really probably the only good guy role I can think of is from G.I. Jane. He's one of the hothead recruits in that. Then he was in the serial killer horror film Strangeland, which I think is underrated, but yeah, surprisingly, after that, just B-movie direct-to-video stuff, and you're like, he's not that bad.
Okay, so here's the scene with Mr. How do you say his last name again?
Fichtner.
Fichtner. Yeah, you're right.
Ignore the T, just Fichtner.
Oh, okay, I like that. Ignore the T. All right, and now Waingro comes in to betray the gang. Again,
not a thing. And not hearing bothers me more. Where's this guy?
This guy here. We put him on. Says he knows Macaulay.
I just love the way he walks in, looks around.
Then plus that body language. Whoa. No one walks in here unannounced.
Yeah.
Living in this office day and night. How well do you know him?
Oh, we took some major scores together.
Now, he says right there, we took some major scores together. I thought he was just hired when the movie started. And so is he lying here?
He is. He's telling a white lie because he wants money. He wants whatever he's going to pay him just for a tip. He's acting no better than an unreliable criminal informant in all the crime shows we watch. It's just like he wants whatever he can do to milk this, make it be sexier than it actually is. It's like, yeah, no, I was only in one heist, but that doesn't sound great when I'm giving you information. Oh, we did a lot of stuff together. Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought, because the actor does such a good job playing the character who's lying to Fichtner's character that I was like, is this like a plot hole? Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
I got lied to. I got convinced as a viewer. I was like, oh, wait a minute. He's lying, but he's doing such a good job lying as an actor that I got tricked to thinking, is this a plot hole? Did they forget that they just hired him at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, man moves so fast, and this is why all his movies, even the ones I don't like, benefit from a rewatch, because then you can see why he did all this build up, why he echoed it that way. I was watching it with family, introducing them to it, and they were totally understanding why this movie is copied so much. And they were like, hey, did he invite them? It's like, no. Why else would Henry Rollins' muscle character introduce him that way? It was like, someone's here to see you.
Oh, yeah.
You. And again, that's why he gives a WTF look briefly there in the left-hand corner.
You don't have to tell me your age, Sully. I don't want to insult.
I'm in my 30s. It's all good.
I was going to say, because this movie came out 30 years ago. So when did you first see it? Yeah, I dare say you didn't see it when you were 5 years old.
I definitely saw it in the 2000s, and it was a TBS mainstay. But
I see. You saw it on. Okay, you saw the TBS cut first. Okay.
Fortunately, it is like all these other movies we love. It's not bastardized to where, okay, cheesy language edits. It is.
Yeah,
It
there's
flows.
a few curse words. There's not too many. What about Pacino's part in TBS? Did he say great ass or did they go great butt?
They just cut to, just you're on your way out of here. Just
Oh, they didn't say the great ass part.
And
So when you
unfortunately-
saw it on DVD for the first time, were you like laughing? Or-
that plus when he throws the TV out, that they just cut a lot of stuff for time. But in a way, it's funny now when some of the other tragic stuff with his family happens. It hits me. Watching it this time, I was able to appreciate even more of just some of the surveillance stuff that is modified slightly. And the main funny thing for me was just the restaurant. It isn't the exact same way, but it's also cut in a way where it's not rudely interrupted like other TV edits where, like for instance, Tarantino should never be on edited TV. You won't.
That doesn't work. Yeah, no.
In 48 hours, you can't understand anyone saying, and so it took me years to appreciate stuff like that. So that's just it. It's got to be a movie like this, like A Few Good Men, where yes, there's blatant dialogue, there are a few bloody squibs, but it's not to the point where it's
not too bad.
You take something out, nothing makes sense. It's not that kind of movie.
Even we talked about even Manhunter. I talked about that with Christian Blatt there, and when he and I were talking about Manhunter, it's not even that. Like Silence of the Lambs has some pretty bloody scenes and sequences, but even the Silence of the Lambs isn't that bad. But Manhunter doesn't really have very much. It's a lot of it's just off screen.
The burning
implied.
death is just slightly modified, and you're good to go. Yeah,
yeah. Maybe Al Pacino's scene in this movie on the TBS cut was she's got a great mind on her, or she's got a great head on her shoulders. Maybe that's what they.
I wish I had a copy of it because watching it this time again, I explicitly remembered even jumping ahead, Chris getting on an airline and showing his fake ID to the cops. So I don't know if I was misremembering or
some TV edits have different scenes that aren't in the movie to film
Cobra.
The time. I don't mind Cobra. I like it better than Over the Top, and I'm
different canon. Yeah, so this is a great scene. I do think they modify it on TV just for time. You fill in the blanks to the betrayal exchange.
Okay. Now, what's the other scene that you wanted to talk about? Look at Sully not wanting to talk about we're going to talk about the diner scene, dear listeners.
We will.
No. Sully's such a what do you call it? He's such a film nerd. No, everyone talks about the diner scene. I'm not going to insult I'm not going to insult my film nerd knowledge here and talk about that diner scene. God. It's a good thing I didn't have you on for the bank heist shootout scene. You'd be like, yeah, a bunch of guns go off next. Okay, all right.
No, I talk about that.
All right.
Anyway.
So what's the other scene you got there?
Ah, man. Do we want to just jump ahead to even?
I don't care about going in order. It doesn't matter. You can jump around.
You don't care. Okay. I think you really wanted to talk more about the failed heist. We can talk a bit about that because
the failed heist. Oh, you're talking about when they get caught or when?
Yeah, because I knew that the robbers were made out, but I totally forgot about how De Niro makes them out. Also,
well, actually, that's a great sequence. Okay, so back to the failed heist.
Yep.
So the cops, with Al Pacino and his gang of cops, they're in the van surveilling. Now, I didn't catch how they knew that they were going to be there for that score. Do we know how Al Pacino and the cops knew that?
Much like the profiling and coming across Chris's wife, all that's off screen and left to the imagination. But I think it helps that this movie's so well put together in every place. It's not the kind of movie where we're like, that's clunky or that doesn't make sense. I'm given the impression they trailed them or they got some other inside help that they
say their cars and stuff were bugged because they didn't mention afterwards when they got away, the Robert De Niro and the gang got away. De Niro says to Kilmer, I'm just using the actors' names. Yes, I know, because then people can know who I'm talking about. They said, assume everything's tracked, assume everything's bugged. They came to that conclusion because they probably are asking the question that I'm asking. How do they know we were here? How do they even know we were here? Just assume everything's bugged. So, of course, they're in the van, classic cops in a van watching the heist.
Yeah.
And this one cop, he's walking around with a gun slinged around his shoulder, M16 rifle. And he bangs it against the side of the steel van. And that, of course, alerts De Niro's character outside. He's just standing out there on watch. But what I love about that is, one, it just takes that one idiot to ruin the whole... Because they would have gotten him, too. If they walked out with the loot, I don't know quite what they were robbing here. Yeah, Al Pacino and the gang would have come out with grand larceny charges, whatever. Say, hey, guys, you're going away for 20, 25 years. You're literally caught red-handed. They were ready to catch him red-handed.
I'm glad you brought up the loot. We never see it. We would feel cheated as an audience member to see it, and it never is shown again. It would be hackneyed screenwriting. It doesn't matter what they are robbing, because they're not going to get it.
They don't talk about it. Do we even know? Because this is not the bank heist.
It's a warm-up. It's a side hustle before their inevitable score, which they may or may not agree to, but Chris is going to agree to either way, Val Kilmer's character. I'm glad you brought up the loot. I'm glad we never see it because it's irrelevant. They don't get it. They won't be able to.
Here's the sequence here. What I really like here, it's hard for our audio listeners. I do apologize. So you'll hear the clank of the rifle against the van, inside the van. Then everyone inside the van freezes. Like they don't breathe almost. And De Niro's character just hearing the one clunk. And he looks at the van. But what I love is you see him looking, Al looking, and they're both looking at each other, but they can't see each other. It's almost like the sixth sense of each other. Mm-hmm. But then you see De Niro's character with the heat camera, his face looking, and it's just such a cool effect of you see him looking at the camera that has the heat resonance. And let's just watch that play out here. So Buddy knocks against the van. De Niro looks right away, right at the van. So they're both looking.
Yeah.
And I just love that look that De Niro gives. They're both looking at each other. You can just see them looking at the night vision. That's right. Sorry, night vision camera. And you can see the eyes are lit up almost, boring into the police van of like, you effers. I heard you.
So tactical. And it is wild, too, how people forget that both of them are Marines.
That's right. Good call. Yeah.
But most people aren't going to see that with the new, darker remaster that Neil has that tattoo when he gets out of bed.
Oh, okay. Good catch. Yeah.
But from this viewing, I was able to infer that from Kilmer's character's tactical ability, as well as there was some special forces stuff on Tom Sizemore's criminal profile. I think that Michael Mann has given enough interviews stating how both characters are the same person on opposite ends of the law. I hope everybody gets this by now.
I don't think I got it till you just said it. It's funny that you said it just like that. I guess it's so in my face. They are. I didn't know it, Sully. You brought me to the light. Thank you. I didn't know that. I guess I just never thought of it. You said
neither. You just don't get that on the first impression. You just get, this is cool. This is cool. Oh my God.
I'm still lost a little bit in the luster of the film. I admit I'm still a little bit lost in the luster of Al and Robert sharing the screen time together, that I'm not paying attention to the characters so much. This is a big, this is like a movie cinema moment to have these two actors together on screen in such a high profile film that you're right. I should have just, if I look at the characters, you have them both who are loyal to the cause, both equally as good at what they do, and they see each other as equals and they have this mutual respect. But that's the diner scene. That's why we have to show a little bit of the diner scene, because they're basically at the end of the diner scene. They're like, hey, push comes to shove, we're both going to have to take care of what we have to take care of. It's not personal, but if I see the heat and blah, 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 and you come around the corner, I'm not going back to jail. And the other guys, I'm going to take you to jail. So someone has to lose. And that's the great moment in this film, without revealing the end right now, because there might be someone who hasn't seen the film or been a while. That's the big reveal at the end, is how does this play out? How is this resolved with these two characters and actors? Who wins? But before
I forgot about that part of the dialogue where I don't know how to do anything else, and I don't want to. I'm like, whoa. So you could learn, but you won't. You don't want to do it.
I don't want to.
The stage of your adulthood. And it's just so interesting hearing that from the cop as well, who has no life. And usually on the first viewing, you just failed marriage, hates the stepdad, all that. On this viewing, I got even more of I don't even know what to do with myself. Like, I'm bored. I love stakeouts. I'm good at it. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm good at on 4 hours of sleep and coffee.
All right, so here's the scene here of them realizing, hey, we've got heat. We've got real heat. Obviously, the cops are there, and here we go. And they're talking about, we might have one more score left, then we got to part ways. This is the last big one. Do we rob this bank or not? Because we've got heat on us now.
Mm-hmm. The score they're on to, the place, not us. It's been hit
oh, sorry. This is Val's character first is saying maybe they weren't on to us. That's right. They're trying to figure out, how did they know we were there? That's really cool that they announced this to the audience. They're like, maybe they're just there because there's stuff there that they want to guard. Or
they found another hideout. They found another place to get together. And again, they're not stating the obvious before we predicted it. They're thinking rationally, which makes this more compelling to watch.
Yeah, and then this is where De Niro's character says, no, assume they got our phones, assume they got heat. Like, no, they're on to us. Mm-hmm. It wasn't by chance that they were there. They were waiting for us.
They got our phones, assume they got our houses, assume they got us right here, right now, as we sit, everything, assume it all.
Now we're going to buy the bank package from Kelso.
I'll front that. That's not a problem.
What the hell happens to Van Zandt or 750?
Van Zandt, listen, with the heat we got, you want to play World War II in the streets with Van Zandt?
I love that line.
750, when he gets a pass?
I got more motivation to whack Van Zandt than either of you. He is a fucking luxury. Our problem is take the bank or split right now. Do not go.
So the question is now, do we take the bank or do we split and just cut our losses? And then they go in the whole discussion of who's going to stay, who's going to go. And they'll give their reasons. They all decide, yeah, we're all in. We're all in. Okay. And what's the other scene you want to talk about before we close with the diner? There's another. I think you brought up a couple.
I'm glad you brought up that initial failed heist scene because I did have some family members saying, so why is he only talking to, Sizemore and Kilmer? Why is Trejo out of this? Implied from that other scene is Neil and Trejo were cellmates, basically, that he has pledged his loyalty. I will be your wheelman. I will be the getaway driver. There is no not doing this. He's going to be on the score one way or another.
Speaking of Trejo, we find out later that he figures that he is being followed, that he is being tracked, and he's like, I can't come meet you at the diner. The very diner where, what was the actor's name?
Waingro, you're talking about Kevin Gage's character?
No.
Oh, yes, Dennis Haysbert. Yeah.
Yes, okay. Trejo's character knows that he's being tracked. He's been spotted. He's being trailed. So he calls De Niro's character at the diner saying, look, man, I can't come back and meet you guys. They're going to follow me to you because they're in the run. They're in the wind. So he knows he's got a tail on him. So De Niro's character's like, yeah, don't come back. Just go do what you got to do. Don't bring the heat back to us. But it's just very fortuitous that in that same diner is somebody they spent time in jail with, is played by Dennis Haysbert's character, which is a very tragic character's arc.
Yes.
Because he seems like you can tell that Haysbert's character, and he's on parole or whatever it is. So he's got the job. He's being, of course, I would say abused physically, but he's being taken advantage of by the boss.
I have to give you 20% back of what I make. That's extortion.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, that's right. You don't give me money from your wages. I'm going to tell them you took drugs in the kitchen. Then you go back.
And because I guess you could say he has a ankle bracelet or something. Either way, he's an ex-con. He's on parole, and I did have to explain to others because I had seen it before. Is that woman of his is his partner. She's not his parole officer.
Oh, people thought that that woman was
just doing what any good partner does, which makes sure you get to work on time and don't get in trouble with the law. But
I never considered that would be the parole officer, but I guess maybe somebody could see that.
But he has one of the best. Breeden definitely has one of the best. I freaking quit scenes, and it's they cut out some other scenes where he's at home. I think on the TV edit, which is a shame because that does rob the character of his moment of. I'm between a rock and a hard place and then some. Yeah,
it's just tragic because you know that he's done his time in prison and he wants to get back into society. But at the same time, where he goes to get rehabilitated or to get integrated back into society, he's mistreated. It just shows you how important it is, dear listeners, that if you're in these positions of authority and to help people, that he would have gone back. Let's pretend the job that he was at was honest pay, honest work. He's being treated fairly and kindly. And De Niro's character comes and says, hey, you want to drive for us? You want to make a big score? He would have probably turned it down.
As a man who's been abused in many unprofessional work industries, it takes guts, but it also takes your integrity. And if your integrity is robbed and HR is doing their usual unhelpful self, that's where you just have to say, I quit. There will be no 2-week notice. In this case, he does exactly that. No 2-week notice.
Did you push down your boss? Did you push down your boss?
I did not do that.
You wanted to say what you did.
Me, but no, that's not me. It is interesting how he's doing exactly what all the other guys there. So you can assume that the boss has been doing that to all the staff. It's not just him. I also do blame the parole officer.
Of course.
Surely they could have done a background check. I get this is pre-internet, but surely they could have asked around. Is this a good place to work?
I would argue, sorry to step on you there, Sully. I would argue that the parole officer's in on the cut. This is where he's getting.
That's a good theory. I like that. That makes better sense because the guy did act like he knew the parole officer. Like, I've been doing this a while.
Yeah, it's all part of the same. So the parole officer takes the criminals here, and it's like he's probably gets 10% of that 20%.
Man.
Yeah,
that makes better sense. So he's splitting it with the parole guy to look the other way.
Yeah, that's right. And then he just calls the parole officer and says, "Oh, he took drugs," and they're like, "Yep, he did." And they're not together.
And this is proof that this is a good movie because we're analyzing all this other stuff. This isn't just stupid theories that no one will agree on. We are analyzing all this other implications that this movie introduces.
They better agree with us, Sully, or they can just turn off their radios right now.
10-4.
All right, here's the scene now of De Niro telling him, hey, come work for me.
Yeah, man, sure. Cool. Oh, man, now you know I'm cool.
You know I'm cool.
See, he goes, yeah, man, yeah, you're on.
You're wrong. Love it.
But I love how De Niro's character waits. There's a silence there, you heard, folks, of him waiting for the answer. But that was the time Dennis Haysbert's character would have said, no, man, I can't. But the fact he's running through his mind right now, I don't like where I am right now.
They both have a code. Neil, he's got 10 minutes, maybe 20 flat before he's either do everything himself or find another wheelman. But at the same time, he doesn't want to push him. He's not going to be held liable for, I forced you to do this, threatened you to do this. It's like, are you in? I'm hearing it. I'm listening to you, but I still need a yes.
Yeah, no, it's a great scene.
And if I get a no, then no, nice talking, but I got split also.
No, it's a great scene, great acting by Dennis. And now we're going back a little bit, of course, storyline, but that's fine. What I thought was the big moment that Sully had in this 34 minutes, but for him, it's the least important moment in the whole.
It's a good scene.
It's a good scene. It's okay. We have the two juggernauts. Now, I've forgotten how the scene played or how it was introduced. Is that Al Pacino's character? They do have his car marked. De Niro's character's car
I totally
marked.
spaced on that too. He had his vice squad spot him and then give him a copter and then get in a car so he could.
Yeah, they literally chased him down with a helicopter. Then they jumped into a car. Then
I wonder what the insurance is on that car.
Yeah, sure.
For the vice squad using it for this pickup.
And pulls him over and just says, hey, let's get a cup of coffee. And he's like, okay. And what choice does he have? He's not arresting him. Said, let's just go talk. Let's go talk in a public place. No shooting, no murder. So
I totally forgot that they did cut to Neil looking for a gun, getting it out of his glove box just in case this went south.
Just in case, yeah.
How would that have worked?
You know what?
He doesn't want to draw any more attention to himself, but he might have to if he needs to.
He could have. He almost could have done it. He could have smoked Pacino's character on the side of the road there. There was no cameras on him. There's no cop cams on him. If there was a time, he could have done it, dumped the car, and be going the lamb again. And it could have happened. It could have happened. But they didn't. We got the scene instead.
Yep.
So the diner.
Coffee sounds nice.
Coffee sounds good. And here we go. Some of the dialogue. I just stopped in the middle of the scene. I'm not sure where we are here. Let's just see what they're talking about here.
McNeil is tough as they say.
Okay. So he's asking about jail. This jail is tough as they say, where he was at. Now, he says here, you're looking to become a penaltologist. Oh, penologist.
Yeah.
Okay, that's somebody who studies jails, or I presume penal. Is that right?
Study of crime and punishment. So correctional facility studies. But
I never even knew there was one.
But that's just it. Like that goes so fast. You do have time to glaze over this. Oh, that's why he said that, and here and there, and introduced it that way. But yeah, I don't recall a lot of this criminal record stuff. So I don't know if a lot of it's just cut for time or memory failing me, but it is a wonderful way.
Oh, there's lots going on. Don't beat yourself up, Saul. There's a lot going on in this film. Don't be silly. Okay, so yeah, he goes, it's a funny line that De Niro, they're looking to study prison management, rehabilitation, and treatment of offenders. That's what that means.
You looking to go back? I chase down some crews, guys just looking to fuck up, get busted back.
So Pacino's saying there, I've chased crews of people who that's a real thing that does happen in the world, is that people will commit crimes as just to go back to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they get 3 square a day and a roof over their head. It's almost like the system they know. And of course, De Niro's character is, nah, that ain't me. I'm never going back.
How do you rank this performance of De Niro's? Because this is so different from the gentle but brutal giant that you get in Deer Hunter, and it's not sticking out and in his own little loopy world like Taxi Driver, but it's also not way different than the Scorsese ones we've been accustomed to, where he just looks on and then gives a very delicate speech. Here at the start of this, playing chicken a bit with Pacino's Vincent and saying, okay, and go on. And what do you want me to say to this? And then slowly he says a few other magic words. Okay, I can totally relate to what you're saying. You actually are seeming pretty cool, especially that you bought me coffee. But now I know what to say to this. Now I have my retort and I have my definitive answer. This has been a nice chat, but it is file just seeing at first how he tilts his head a little differently. And I really don't think he's playing to the camera. I really do think legit he is trying to give the character a little nuance with, this is the most unusual day. I've been stopped by cops. I'm pretty sure you can tell, but I've never been asked for a cup of coffee. to hear this story. I think he admires his profiling. I really do. No one's ever asked me about where I was facilitated. What?
Yeah, I think Pacino's character is trying to find a little bit of humanity and common ground just by saying, look, I'm the law and you're a criminal, but at the same time, like, trying to understand him, because he's saying, I chase people down who just want to go back to jail, and he says, is that you? Are you looking to get caught? Are you looking
when they were
caught?
made, he was already grinning. They both had shit-eating grins that someone would be ballsy enough to stump him and then take his photos so that all his crew can recognize them, and John Voight's contact can do some profiling on him. There's no personal stake. He knows wife and his daughter will be safe. He's not worried about that. I never got a sense of that. It's more of a, you're good. I got to know why you're good, and then give you one last warning, because, brother, you are going down.
Yeah, brother, you're going down. To answer your question at the beginning there, yeah, I think he's doing a great job with this role. I think De Niro was my favorite. De Niro was like late 80s or mid 90s up to here of his acting, because it's just he's the most mature. How should I say this? He's in his 50s, 45 to 55. I think he's at peak male look and acting. They've been doing it for a long time. They're doing it so well at this point in their careers.
He's had more diversity, but at the same time, he is what you look for in stoicness mixed in with a typical lifestyle. When you see him in other unusual roles like We're No Angels and even Ronin, you're just like, he can validate everybody's improper position in life instead of just do another thug role. This is his kind of poetry. He loves this kind of humanizing the ugly side of mankind.
And I love De Niro's looks, the way he does the side looks, the side glances.
I never noticed the eyes before. I'm just so busy just paying attention to the suit and his different advice, how he makes his quick, get to it lines for his crew. You feel like he's an actual teacher, or in this case, ex-Marine.
Guy told me one time, don't let yourself get attached to anything you are not willing to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner.
Now, I've forgotten that he says that quote twice. He says it to Val's character earlier in the film. He says it again about the mentor who says, you can't get too attached. You got to be willing to bail at 30 seconds flat to feel the heat. And I also forgot how often they mention the word heat in this film. It is said like 20 times.
I thought it was just this scene and one other scene, and it's said a lot.
It's 20 times. It's like, heat. Where's the heat? Okay. Who's got the heat? Don't bring the heat. I don't want the heat. You want the heat? It gets a little bit redundant. I think they should have kept it down to 2 times.
Were you familiar with the terminology? Because I was reminded of it, especially when video games
just
rip this off,
the
like
cops.
Grand Theft Auto, and it is said a lot. It's not just good screenwriting, because you don't want to title a movie with an unrelated title that's just bad, but it is also, they're just reiterating, this is how we have introduced how the characters talk. We're going to keep having them talk this way. And I don't know if his character is based on Eddie Bunker's criminal lifestyle. I think it was more Val Kilmer's character has a bit of that. I know John Voight was designed to look like Eddie himself, the character who he drew inspiration on for Thief.
Okay.
He just reiterates again, I don't get attached. You're getting attached to me right now, and this is nothing personal. I'm not asking for police to come after me. I know you guys are going to do your job. I also am going to keep doing what I do for a living.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I guess this is the part of the conversation where they're both going to be at an impasse. Their characters are going to be like, if we face each other, we're going to face each other.
So then if you spot me coming around that corner, you're just going to walk out on this woman? Not say goodbye? That's the discipline.
That's the discipline. So Al's character is basically saying, you're going to step on a woman? And Pacino's character is like, I'm on my 3rd marriage, but you're going to do that to that poor woman? And that's the discipline. But it's interesting how his discipline is. And now that you brought me to this knowledge here, Sully. So De Niro's character is, look, when push comes to shove, I got to drop my relationship at the door and leave because the heat's coming around the corner. The flip side is Pacino's character has dropped his relationships at the door because of the crimes that these people commit. So they both have lost their relationships.
He's not a great husband.
And they're both not great because they both love their job so much that they sacrifice their own personal relationships in their own weird way. One is on the right side of the law, so to speak. The other one's on the wrong side of the law, but both have sacrificed relationships because of their jobs.
I thought he was going to just have a one-night stand, and then it got even serious. He's like, I'm not opposed to you coming along with me, but you will have to be a fugitive much like me.
Yeah, that's right.
You mentioned the failed heist. We never see the details. There's so many other scenes in this damn movie where you never see what they're arguing about because it's irrelevant, but you get the gist of it. We never knew what Al's daughter was arguing about. It's just teenage girl stuff, but it's a problem. It's not being properly addressed. It's a recurring issue, clearly. And same thing with the cops that we see them going, we never met a heist like this. What are we missing? What are we missing? We busted so many robbers. Why is this one different? And it doesn't matter why they're not getting it right, but they're still allowing these different voices to organically interject in the room instead of feeling overridden, oversaturated with all these different voices.
Enough time.
Enough time to do what you want to do.
That's right.
You doing it now?
Not yet.
We're sitting here.
Here we go.
You and I are like a couple of regular fellas. You do what you do, I do what I gotta do. And now that we've been face to face, if I'm there and I gotta put you away, I won't like it. But I'll tell you. If it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you are going down.
So there's Pacino's part. Now, I love how the writer, of course, Michael Mann of the film, he wrote the film and directed it, of course. He has to give both characters equal amount of dialogue in the scene. I think Al might have a little bit more dialogue because the character of Robert's a little bit more stoic, like you said, a little bit more quieter. But I love how Al does his first part. Just so you know, I won't like it. I'm not going to enjoy putting you down, but if you're going to put down an innocent civilian in your heist or whatever, you're going down. I'm not going to enjoy it because I respect you, and I, as a person, respect your service, even all that stuff in the military, whatever it might be. But I'm not going to let you hurt anybody in the process. Like a good law enforcement person would say this, right? I love how now Michael Mann's, okay, now Robert, your turn. So here's Robert's rebuttal to that. His character's rebuttal to Al's.
There's a flip side to that coin. What if you do got me boxed in? Then I gotta put you down. We've been face to face, yeah. But I will not hesitate. Not for a second.
Maybe that's the way it'll be. Or, who knows?
Maybe we'll never see each other again.
At least you said it to my face as opposed to BS me. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll think twice. We're both blatantly honest, so yeah, the mutual respect is reinforced. Did you ever look up that Pacino's character was inspired by a real life detective from Chicago?
No.
Chuck Adamson has been the technical advisor for most of Michael Mann's initial run. He had a bit part in Thief. He played a crate opener in Beverly Hills Cop and then created Crime Story for Michael Mann and then wrote for some of Miami Vice. This was one of his final roles as a technical advisor, but he went after an actual Neil McCauley in the 60s. And much like this movie, he came to a close and got the guy in a shootout. But there was if not a mutual respect, there was this guy is good.
Oh, wow.
He knows how to pick locks, and he had worked countless nights just assembling a task force. But like Pacino, he was a real life sergeant detective who operated from 58 to 1974.
Oh, wow. Well, I didn't know that. Look at you. Thanks for, you brought a lot of background knowledge on Michael
Why
Mann.
didn't they say based on a true story?
Or but based on true personalities or things that could happen or have happened. Yeah, no, that's good. Michael Mann, we talked about with Thief, of course, and he does try to add as much realism into his films. He's like Christopher Nolan before Christopher Nolan, I think, that way, where he tries to add that realism into his films, especially, again, the Thief, the break and entering stuff, the cop side of life, the criminal side of life. He's really good at just showing both sides of the coin regarding that.
How appropriate. He inspired Nolan to do homages to Michael Mann's kind of atmosphere and shootouts. So.
Yeah, I don't know if this is official. Maybe in your own personal research, it seems like you've done a lot more than I have regarding these directors. Did Christopher Nolan talk about was he influenced by Mann? Oh,
yeah, he did a Q&A with the stars and Mann in recent years. But yeah, he did say in other interviews, I do Die Hard, I do like Heat, I do like these kinds of different.
Sure, yeah, because I know that the aesthetics, if you look at Batman, of course, the trilogy that Nolan did, that was his big thing that he really stuck to as much as you can. Still, there's not realism, but he really wanted everything to be grounded. It's probably a better word.
Make it look like a Chicago type city. And
right. Just, and then even the abilities of Batman were grounded and things like that. Yeah. Anyways, Sully, absolutely fantastic for you to come on and join me for part 3. I appreciate you answering the call so willingly. And
honored to be asked.
Yeah, it is a pleasure. You love films. You're very enthusiastic, and I know on your show you guys talk about so many different topics, and you guys have fun, and that's the important thing when it comes to these podcasts, Sully. And that's what I always say: just have fun. If you don't have fun, then I don't know what you're doing.
Get better with sound mixing. Find better topics that you look forward to doing the research and presenting a narrative. We will be doing a true crime and history podcast very soon.
Oh wow!
But we'll be mainly exploring Wild West legends as well as entertainment scandals that are lesser talked about, because I love true crime and I love history podcasts, but there's a gazillion ones already on Charles Manson.
There's a lot of true crime. Yeah.
You can find just about anyone on Richard Nixon or what have you. If you want to go a little deeper. So here's a producer bad apple who ruined a bunch of careers by his heavy-handedness. But you also want to have some uplifting ones, and so I found my share of those. But that's also the problem with something like this. You don't want to announce it too soon because it's going to take even more research. It's going to take even more time before you can sit down, record, and upload it.
Bless your heart with all the research you do. Are all these topics going to be on the Jacked Up Review show, or is it going to be under a different banner?
That'll be a separate one. And
a separate show?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Promise.
Do you have a title yet? Are you tinkering with any title ideas?
The title we have agreed on as of this moment is, excuse me.
No, it's fine. Big announcement.
5 puzzling questions. So
5 puzzling questions.
Yep.
You're going to present these questions during the...
Yep. The typical who, what, when, where, and why, but we also are going to avoid being snarky. We're going to avoid just clickbait articles. We're going to just try and illustrate why is it a puzzle? Why is it shocking?
Oh, your 5 puzzling questions will be different every episode.
We're going to illustrate why it is a puzzle to begin with.
Oh, okay. Boy.
Because unfortunately, with many of these cases, you won't be able to answer half of the who, what, or when, where, and why. And so we're going to just try and...
So why even ask? If you can't answer, why ask?
We're just going to just hit into this is why it will always be a mystery, as well as this is why this is taking up different folklore and urban myths. But
jeez. Man, you are insane.
Thank you.
I thought I covered a lot of different stuff. Boy, you've got me beat. I'll tell you that. Okay. For now, people can catch you on the Jacked Up Review Show. I'm telling you, folks, just go Google Jacked Up Review Show. At the very least, listen to the intro song. It'll get you going. Thank you so much, Sully, for coming on. I'll have your show's link in the show notes. And thanks so much for coming on. And stay tuned, folks, for part 4, where my lovely co-host Katie will be on for part 4.
It's going to be interesting seeing the finale is like someone who does not care for it, but can hopefully they're mature enough to justify. This is why I don't care for it.
They're not mature enough. I'll tell you that.
Okay, perfect.